Hi there, welcome to this week midweek market analysis. So today's video over here will be pretty interesting because we did see some very huge move from yesterday where Jerome Powell actually came in and make a statement. The overall market is reacting to that, and dollar is in fact strengthening as of yesterday. So some of this analysis over here, what you will be observing is a lot of them are ending off just as an impulse. And of course, what's more important is, I think what's more interesting is going into Friday, we have another very important data, which is the NFP and the unemployment rate. So this 2 days here, if you're looking at some of this dollar related major pairs, you probably need to be just maintaining a rather patient and I would say adaptive perspective and see how the market is going to react from here on. Okay. So let's start off with the dollar index. So yesterday, as we can see, this is the impulse push. Market actually took off this high, and right now we're basically around that recent high zone. So from the entire perspective over here, I don't see a clear divergence as well. Okay, so this kind of suggests that perhaps we may see a little bit more upside for the dollar, but as I mentioned, having in mind that we do have NFP coming in on Friday as well, you need to be aware that potentially this can just do a V shape too. Okay, so for that reason, I'm maintaining a very neutral perspective. If I'm gonna look for a buy, at least I want to wait for a decent pullback, which on a 4-hour scale, today's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday, and then Friday we have NFP. Unlikely we're going to get a sizable corrective structure that looks something like that in the next 2 days, right, prior to NFP. So what this means is that ideally we're not going to be too active in engaging any trade as of now if you don't have any position running on the dollar. Okay, so this very neutral perspective right now. We want to see how the market develops from here. And of course, if we put it into the euro dollar perspective, it's kind of inverse to that. Okay, so initially we were looking for potential sell once this complete that 1 2 3 a little bit on the higher side, but the market didn't move towards that, which is common. It's part of how the market reacts, right? It doesn't need to be perfect all the time, and we can't get this little push down. So right now I'm neutral simply because this is again an impulse push. And then of course in line with the NFP, in terms of context of what's happening this week, some of the events coming up, I'll be a little bit neutral. And of course we are also coming very, very close to the previous bottom at 1.0480. So any sell trade here would be very, very short term, and you definitely want to keep an eye on that level. Because what can happen is, of course, NFP may spike this down, but easily it can then reverse from there on. Okay, so neutral again. Okay, we'll probably bring this all the way to next week and see if we have a clearer setup to decide whether we're going to look for a sell for the longer term, or from here we can look for a reversal back up. Okay, so be a little bit patient, sit it out for now, see how the market is going to develop from here. Pound dollar is the one that I would definitely pay a little bit more attention going into NFP day. Okay, we have been talking about how we want to look out for that 1.1840 level. The reason is because if I zoom out a little bit, okay, this may complete that 1 2 3 as a flat structure. Yesterday we did came down and test that. So far we don't really have an obvious rejection yet. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it's likely just gonna keep falling, because what can happen here is this can develop into a crawl. With a little bit of a break, that can be called what a false breakout is, and then this can still reverse back up. So I'm definitely focusing on pound dollar. I want to see if we can get a reversal set up over here. If we can get that, definitely we'll be looking and more interested in the upside. Okay, so again, this one here, probably we're going to wait out all the way until NFP. Going into NFP, if we can get a decent tough H1 crawl pattern, we'll be looking at a breakout trade to the upside. Alright, so pound dollar, definitely something to keep an eye on. Aussie dollar, yesterday did a very, very nice little flag and push down. Okay, so of course, if you're also waiting at the top a little bit here, or you are more conservative, Okay, you wouldn't have probably take this sell because we are quite close to some of the key levels, right? In fact, right now we're testing the previous low and the 618 area over here. Yes, right now it looks very impulsive, but of course the market can do just a V shape, just like something like this, something like this, something like that. It can easily do that. Okay, so never just jump into a trade because it moved off impulsively. Now from a higher time frame perspective, what we're seeing over here is after this little push up, we came down pretty fast. We're definitely testing that zone. At some point in time, we're going to see a bigger corrective structure. Okay, so in terms of context, because we're already so, I would say in terms of relative, right, we are quite low already as compared to structure setup over here. For that reason, my personal suggestion here is don't be overly aggressive in trying to sell it anymore. Okay, in fact, look out for potential reversal because we have came down quite a bit. Okay, and we're definitely testing the zone, right? It's not just about coming down, but we're also testing some key areas right now. So the idea here is just maintain a neutral perspective, wait out a little bit, see how the market's reacting around the zone, then only we make a decision on that. Okay, dollar CAD has a very nice little run. This one here, initially we were forecasting a simple 1, 2, 3 ABC pullback, but seems like the market yesterday broke off, kind of give us a structure of a triangle. I managed to catch a little bit here, somewhere there, with a very aggressive entry, so a very nice run. Okay, but of course, for those of you who are just waiting for this, you probably missed this. Again, it's part of parcel of trading. Don't ever chase a trade just because you miss out on it, right? So right now, overall forecast and analysis for the dollar CAD did not really change much. We're basically still anticipating a little bit more upside towards the 3780 to complete that 5-wave structure, and from there on we may see a bigger corrective pullback from there. Okay, so dollar CAD here we do have the Canadian and of course the US side as well. This evening we have the BOC statement coming in, so definitely not something that you want to jump in and buy right now. Okay, look out for kind of reaction around that area at 3780. If you're aggressive, and this starts to form a little bit of a crawl, then going into BOC today, you might look for a breakout to the downside, and if that happens, you may catch a pretty solid trade back down towards 3555 area. Alright, so that's on the dollar CAD. Dollar yen continue to extend a little bit. This is definitely not an easy structure to kind of decode. But for now, it's pretty much very obvious, this is developing as a complex, impulsive move to the upside. Okay, so right now we are keeping things simple. From this very low here, we're expecting this is a 1-2, and because this is fairly extended, so what we're looking at is a internal 5-wave development as well. So potentially this is a 1-2, this is still 3, testing around at 1618. So we can wait for a pullback, okay, to end off wave 4. And another push up again, right? So direction wise, dollar yen, there's no reason to be selling. It's just purely focusing on buy opportunities, but in order for us to have a buy setup, we need to wait for a decent pullback. Alright, so direction is clear. I think it's just about timing, waiting for the clear setup, your go-to setup before you pull the trigger to look for the buy trade on dollar yen. Now gold, yesterday we were looking mainly for a corrective pullback, okay, and see if we can get at 1, 2, 3. The market didn't give us that. In fact, it just gave us a V. So continue to maintain a very neutral perspective. With this kind of momentum, there's a very good chance we're just going to tag that low. And I wouldn't say you want to sell it now or even buy it at that low as a double bottom. There's no reason to do that. The probability is not very high. So you probably want to just give it some time, right? I mean, if this is definitely going to be a correct crawl pattern, then of course we'll look for an upside. Maybe this would going to give us a flat structure. Or if we're going to see a V-shaped bounce, then of course we can also expect a little bit more upside. That's going to give us, again, a flat structure. So gold here, we're still maintaining a neutral perspective. And as I mentioned, right, a lot of all this dollar-related pair is moving off as an impulse based on yesterday's kind of like news. Right? So gold here just maintain a neutral perspective. Crude oil. Okay, crude oil, if you were looking at a buy, we shared that this is a potential break. Okay, very nice little decent trade. Yesterday we suggested to shift stops here. Market came down. You probably have some profit, protection taking place. So you should probably get out on that trade. Overall, we're still expecting a little bit more upside, but of course, this is not the best kind of like pattern to be involved in it, because whenever we buy, we want this to go fast, right? We want this to go fast, but this seems to be lacking, and it may be, it's not something, it's something common, right? What I want to say is because we are almost ending off this entire piece, right? You can see how long this development has been. So definitely there will be a lot of buyers and sellers kind of like competing in price. As this continue to develop, perhaps from there on we'll then look for a very decent sell. So maybe for now, my suggestion is, if you're out of that trade, don't be too aggressive in jumping in. We are currently seeing price giving us a little bit of reaction around at 50% Fips. This is not a buy, right? Definitely not a buy. It's not a sell setup as of now as well, right? I would rather look for sell at the top instead of like selling from here. So for that reason, we are a little bit of a bullish side, but overall, just be a little bit careful. And if you're conservative, just wait out for a clearer setup. Okay. S&P, start of the week, late last week, we get a very nice push up, and then yesterday we kind of get an impulsive move downside. So initially we were expecting this to come down correctively so that we can look for a buy, 1, 2, 3. But yesterday move here seems to suggest otherwise, so you want to be careful. Okay, don't buy in now. There's no reason, because this is a V shape. We want to see how the market is going to react around at 50 and 618 before committing to any particular trade. Okay, so in terms of S&P, we're maintaining a neutral point of view as well. Now I'll talk a little bit about Aussie Yen. This one here, for those of you who managed to take this trade down, yes, it's a short term as we covered, but if you manage to take it, okay, definitely you want to take partial profits or even take full profits off the trade right now. Pretty solid one. I'm actually in a buy at this moment because I think this area has a very nice confluence, not only as a wave structure, we have Fib structure, we have the channel structure. Okay, so this one here, ideally we want to see the V-shape bounce up. Okay, and that would mean this opens up more upside, and definitely that will be a buy directional bias. Okay, so for those of you who are interested, we're basically testing this zone. Keep an eye on it. If you can get a bounce from here, definitely a buy to the upside. Okay, so I just want to very quickly highlight on Aussie Yen. And last one over here, we have BTC. Nothing much has changed. We're basically still expecting a little bit more downside, okay, to kind of complete and tag this low. Maybe this would be an expanding flat before another push up, right? So overall, it's still bullish. This move down is definitely corrective in nature, so we're eventually expecting still one more push to the upside. Okay, you just need to be patient and wait for the price to come towards the area that you are interested in. Okay, so that's all from me for today's video over here. All the best to your trading, and I'll see you guys in the next one.